Hi everyone, today's math lesson is more about fractions on a number line. We're going to do some additional practice. Today you're going to need to have your pencil and your math journal and your home link close by. But today for our warm-up we have some quick look cards. So I'm going to go to the next screen in just a moment. But my question for you is the bold outline that you're going to see in the fraction circles is the whole. I want to know how much of the whole is shaded, and I want to know how you figured it out. Here's our first one. All right, how much of the whole is shaded? If you were thinking 1/3, you're correct. There are 3 equal parts of the whole, and one of the parts is shaded. All right, moving on to the next one. Here we go. If you were thinking 1/2, you are correct, because this is like the leftover pizza problem. You come home with half of a pizza left, right? And then the next day, that's your new whole. And so if you split that with someone else at your house, you each end up having half, because there are 2 parts in the whole and one of these parts is shaded. All right, last quick look card for today. If you were thinking 2/5, you are correct. There are 5 equal parts in the whole, and 2 of the parts are shaded. Great job. All right, for our math message today, we're going to be focusing on if we know what 1/2 looks like. We also know what 2/2 looks like. I want you to think about what 3/2 would look like. All right, I went ahead and I inputted exactly what it should look like. How many halves make up exactly one whole apple? If you look at our picture, you'll see that 2 halves make up one whole apple. How many halves name less than one whole apple? 1/2, correct, because one pink piece is only half of a red circle. It shows half of an apple. How many halves name more than one whole apple? If you look at our picture, you'll see that would be 3 halves, because we have one whole apple and another half. In today's lesson, we're going to be working on identifying fractions that are less than and greater than one whole on our number lines. Let's go ahead and open up our math journals to page 232. All right, now that we're on page 232, let's go ahead and look at just number line A. What are some observations that you can make about number line A? Well, one that I would make is that the number line shows the distance from 0 all the way up to 1. I would say that there are arrows before 0 and after 1 to show that the number line goes on and on and on. I would say that there are tick marks at 0 and at 1. And then how many tick marks are in between? I would also say that there's a point at the second tick mark that's past 0. Remember that the distance between 0 and 1 is the whole. What number does the point on number line A represent? Or better yet, what fraction would go there? Well, sometimes these can be a little bit tricky, and we sometimes start counting up the number of tick marks, but really we need to count the spaces in between. So let's go ahead and look. I'm going to be working with a red colored pen. So we have this space, that's 1 space, 2 spaces, 3 spaces. So we know that we are working with 3 equal pieces. So each one of those pieces would be 1/3. So 0 would represent 0, 0/3. The first tick mark would be 1/3. And then we would have 2/3 and 3/3. So we would say that our dot, our point, is at 2/3. Now let's go ahead and look at number line B. Number line B looks different than number line A. Go ahead and look to see how many pieces each section is divided into. Be careful. Look at how many sections it 0 to 1 is divided in. That's what we want to focus in. So when I look at it, I see, the number line starts at 0, goes all the way up to 2. So this is different. I'm going to use my red pen again to look at how many sections each whole is divided into. And I see there's 0 to the tick mark and then the tick mark to 1. So I would say that for number line B, it's divided up into 2 equal pieces from 0 to 1, or halves. So 0 represents 0 halves. And then this first one is 1 half. And then 1 is the same as, we learned this last lesson, 2 halves. Now we need to talk about this next tick mark. We're going to continue working with the same denominator. So we're going to have a 2 down here. But how many halves do we have at this point? We would have 3 halves, just like we were talking about with the apple in the math message problem. So it goes up just like the apple. Half of the apple is 1 half. The whole apple is 2 halves. And then when we have 3 halves, that would be like having 1 1/2 of an apple. So the next one, we would go up to 4 halves. Because if we had 4 halves of an apple, we would have 2 total apples. All right, let's go on to number line C. Look at number line C carefully. Look to see where it goes up to. Where's the 1? How many sections are there between 0 and 1? Let's start with that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if the whole is divided up into 4 equal sections, we know that we're working with fourths. So we're going to go ahead and label 0/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. And then we're going to continue. If we have another fourth, it would be 5/4. And another one, 6/4. And then 7/4. And lastly, 8/4. Awesome. All right, so you will notice that we are getting into fractions that look a lot different than what we've been working with before. We're going to talk a little bit more about that after we do number line D. I want you guys to try this one on your own, and then I will show you my results in just a bit. So go ahead and pause the video, fill it all in, and then continue. All right, you can tell that for number line D, we're working with thirds, and I've filled it all in. The next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be going back up to number line A and then working our way back down. But this time, we are searching for fractions that are greater than 1 whole. So if you look at number line A, are there any fractions in there that are greater than 1 whole? No, there aren't, because it only goes up to 1 right there. So we're not going to circle any of those fractions. What about in number line B? Are there any that are greater than 1 whole? Yes, there are 2. I'm going to go ahead and circle these in a different color so that they stand out to you. I'm going to use blue. I would circle 3 halves and 4 halves. Go ahead and circle those in your math journal as well. Let's look at number line C. Are there any fractions that are greater than 1 whole? There are 4 of them. All right, number line D, go ahead and pause it circle yours, and then push play, and you'll see the correct answers. All right, we had 4/3, 5/3, and 6/3. Great work on that page. We're going to go ahead and go to the next page, which is 233 in your math journals. All right, on this page, we have a similar kind of activity to what we did last time in math, where they have labeled some of the fractions, but you have to fill in the missing fractions on the number line. And then it says to write the fraction that names each point. So you'll see right here that there is a point, and you need to go ahead and write what's that fraction right there. Same thing for the next one. You're going to take that one, that whatever you write there, and you would write that in here. And then go ahead and do the same thing for number 3. The point is here, and then you would go ahead and put that right here. And then step number 4 is really similar to what we just did. We actually already did this part. I need you to make sure to do this part. And what it's talking about circling all of the fractions that are greater than 1. So I would not leave these guys circled like how I am showing you where the points are. I would leave those out. Only circle the ones that are greater than 1. And then the question also is, what do you notice about fractions greater than 1? And it has to do something with the numerator and the denominator. So make sure that you are using those words, those vocabulary words. I'm going to give you some time to work on that now. So go ahead and push pause on the video, and I'm going to explain the next part in just a moment. All right, a page that's not mentioned on your schedule, but it's totally optional today is page 234. If you choose to do part of this, that would be great. I would really recommend doing number 1, number 3, and I would also maybe give it a try, number 5. But those are the ones that focus on fractions, and that's kind of where we need the most work right now. But go ahead, that's totally optional page today. I'm going to go ahead and go over the home link, so make sure that you have that close by so we can talk about what work needs to be done on there. All right, here's our home link. It's just like what we did together, where you are filling in the missing numbers and then naming the fraction that's at each point. So you'll see on each number line there is a point. You want to put the fraction on the spot that we have right here. And then for number 4, sometimes people totally miss this question, so be careful. Look at the point on each number line. Which point names a fraction greater than 1? And so what you would do is you would go ahead and you would put down the fraction right there. And then number 5 and number 6, some of us are still having a little bit of trouble with this, forgetting where we're borrowing from and those kinds of things. Make sure you fill in the unit box. You can show your work on the back of the page, but then remember to scan the back, or you can go ahead and show all of your work on the front side. I hope that this lesson is helpful for you and that you are able to understand what makes a fraction less than 1, equal to 1, or greater than 1. Have a great day.